Welcome to San Antonio Sports Motivation Monday. I am Mandy Adkins, and today we're going to visit with WNBA Seattle Storm head coach Dan Hughes. Seattle won the WNBA championship last week for the fourth time, and Coach Hughes has been their coach since 2017, previously winning the championship in 2018. And we all know Coach Hughes from his time in San Antonio as head coach of the WNBA Silver Stars from 2005 to 2009, and then from 2011 to 2016. And Hughes is no stranger to the playoffs, as his teams have advanced 12 times, 3 times to the WNBA Finals. And while his team advanced and won the WNBA championship from the bubble in Florida this year, Coach Hughes was unable to be on the bench due to COVID-19 protocols. So Coach Hughes, thank you so much for being with us today, and congratulations on your WNBA championship.
Well, thank you so much. You know, we have such a special team and a special staff, and under these incredibly unique situations, that everybody kind of getting on the same page and heading in the same direction was not an easy thing to do. But boy, when you surround yourself with great people, it's amazing what can happen sometimes.
Absolutely. And you have clearly surrounded yourself with amazing people throughout your career, and especially there with your team in Seattle. And so I'm sure it was obviously very difficult not to be there in person. Can you share with us a little bit about how you motivated your team from your home in Ohio?
Yeah, it was, I'm big about letting the journey, and I talk with my team a lot about this, letting the journey teach you maybe some of the things you need to know. Mm-hmm. And I'm a huge person about culture. It's probably the number one thing. And a lot of that, I've got to go back to my San Antonio days and give credit to people who influenced me. Russ Bookbinder is an example. He now heads up San Antonio sports, but certainly was part of me ending up in San Antonio and watching the culture, the Spurs sports and entertainment culture, and then wanting to replicate that with my teams in San Antonio, my teams in Seattle, taught me a lot. I learned a great deal from Greg Popovich and the Spurs organization as well. But it was important to me, how can I significantly be a help? Mm-hmm. What can I do to support this effort? Sometimes life throws you, you've got broken pieces. Things aren't together, but sometimes, with the help of great people around you, you can turn it into a masterpiece. And I think that's what we did. We all tried to do something for each other, work together in a certain way, having such excellence around me on the coaching staff. Gary Kloppenberg is a veteran coach that we had worked together for 3 years, and he just took over and took the defense and took over the substitution during the game. Noelle Quinn had played for me 2 years ago. She steps into kind of an offensive coordinator type of thing. We kept the same dialogues. I learned to reach out to the players in a variety of ways and keep a running dialogue. But it was obviously different. But I think I'm going to look back and I'm going to say, that part of the journey, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about technology, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All those type of things. And that brings us to this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, you all appeared to have such a seamless transition, and you have definitely created an amazing culture. And Seattle went on a 6-0 run through the playoffs, winning the championship for the second time in 3 years. So can you tell us a little bit about what have been your keys to creating that winning culture?
Well, to me, I think the first thing starts with the people that that you surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take the team first. As you put together a team, and I think you can apply it to a lot of things, but I always ask myself two questions as we make roster decisions and as we do these things. And one of them always is, okay, what do they bring? What's their talent? What is it they're going to add to this team?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's usually, shooting, rebounding, passing, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then I ask a second question, and that is, are they a good teammate? And if I can't say yes to both, I am usually not in favor of that particular addition. Even though the talent may be great, they got to be a good teammate, But if you got that going for you, then what happens is that a lot of times they're giving energy to the project as opposed to taking it. And you have to be very careful of even talented people who take energy from you. And I think that's such a important piece, because to me, leadership is most essential on your team. My job is not so much to be the leader. My job is to develop leaders. If I'm really a good head coach, what I'm doing is developing leaders on my coaching staff. Developing even greater impact is leaders on the court. And I inherited Sue Bird, which is absolutely amazing. And I traded for Becky Hammond. So I kind of lived off of having these great guards that just seem to make my team look like they know what they're doing. And there is something to that. So I would encourage anybody to do that. But those are the things that I think, when we're committed to excellence,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't care who gets the credit.
Right.
And I didn't develop that. That's the team leadership that has developed with each other. Mm-hmm. And they didn't. I would send them a video a lot of times, like before the playoffs, before the finals, for whatever situation. And I told them probably the greatest thing I appreciated about them was they just cared about winning a championship. They really didn't care who got the credit. And when you're not measuring who's getting the credit, and you're just wanting to be a significant addition.
Right.
It is amazing what the totality will often bring.
Yep. Yeah, that's so true. You can do great things with a group of people that all have that mentality, which is, clearly you all have done. Well, I'm not sure if you are aware, but Ernst & Young actually did a global survey of women in executive positions, and it revealed that 90% of high-level female executives had played sports. And you have spent a majority of your career coaching women, and your efforts and the impact of your players moving the needle on more young girls playing basketball will have a long-term impact on their future, obviously. And you're creating quite a legacy as you coach these young ladies and then women. How does that make you feel, knowing that and knowing that part of your career and your coaching is building those people into those roles?
Well, I'm 65 years young.
Uh-huh.
Probably the thing that I value the most about 42 years of coaching is the relationships that have been built.
Yep.
And a lot of them, as you said, have been with women in situations where you're trying to empower their growth, either in the moment or in life. And I've been so fortunate that so many of them have gone on to some incredible stories in their careers and in their families and in their things like that. But I've been fortunate to be a part of several championships, 2 here in the WNBA. But the thing that resonates the relationships, that is totally it. You know, when I look back to my years in San Antonio, I don't go to great wins or terrible losses. I go to people and the relationships that you have with those people. And I think it goes towards what you're talking about. There is no better way to learn the journey of what a career is like than sports. I think it doesn't mean for sure that you're going to go that way, but if you approach it right, you approach it healthy, you approach it not so much about how great I am or how many points I score, but you approach it like being part of a team, and you approach it and learn to empower the people sitting to your left and right. There's some amazing lessons that can be shared in athletics. And I think, you know, the thing with women is that I switched over and I coached men for about 20 years, and then I switched over and coached women. And I really didn't find a lot of difference, but I will tell you this. Women are incredibly self-motivated. That's we're talking about motivation. They have an ability to care about the team in a pretty large way. I mean, they cared about how I coached the team, not just them.
Right.
And if I'm putting together a business, I want people that understand that. I want people that want to be a good teammate. I want people that are competitive and want to win on a daily basis. I talk a lot about winning the day-to-day. Well, I think women athletes do a lot of that. And I also have appreciated the fact that they want to be coached. They expect to be coached. You know, there's not like, well, don't coach me, coach. It's not that. They are excellent about, okay, I'm here, but I'd kind of like to be here.
Right.
But I'm going to do it in the right way. I'm going to, not in a selfish way. I'm going to be doing it to help the team. And I think it's a great learning process. And if I was going to hire somebody, it wouldn't matter to me that they understood some of those things we just spoke about.
Yeah, absolutely. And San Antonio Sports offers a early stage sport development program called I Play After School. And that's the one thing I tell our coaches is they're coaching 3rd through 5th graders. And I try to impart on them the best thing you can do for these kids is have that relationship and build the strong relationship as their coach and then go from there. It doesn't matter if they can't dribble the basketball perfectly. If you've created that relationship, you know, a lot of times kids especially will do something for a coach they won't do for a parent. And so it's a critical role that, you know, everybody from youth coaches to professional coaches plays in the lives of athletes.
Well, and I think that's just a great program. And when I was in San Antonio, I was part of the Kids Sports Network that Frank Martin began with Coach Popovich. And then I think it's now even become part of the San Antonio Sports.
Yeah.
But it matters. It matters that coaches and players understand the position we have in their lives. We are given an opportunity to be a master teacher. You know, you've got somebody who wants to be good at the same time you want them to be good.
Right.
And I grew up in a small town, and you know, sometimes this instruction is really valued because we don't always all have opportunities. You know, I grew up in a very small town, and it's funny, I thought I was just like everybody else. And I found out, you know, that we didn't have a lot of things in my area. You know, I thought everybody was like us.
Right.
But in reality, we didn't have a lot of things, you know, and when you can create those programs for kids at a young age where they kind of feel growth and touching things that matter to them. I just think the world needs another shot of that. And I'm so glad San Antonio Sports is a part of that.
Thank you. Yeah, we've seen great impact in our I Play After School program. And, as you kind of touched on, our goal is to bridge that gap between the children who can readily access instruction and those who can't, so that every child can experience the power of sport. And so that's a huge part of obviously my day today, and then San Antonio sports as a whole. That's kind of our heartbeats for kids, as we say, and the program is definitely helping bring that instruction to those kids who might not otherwise get the opportunity.
Yeah, and I can't tell you as I get older how important caring for, in some cases, kids that don't have as much opportunity, or caring, that to spend time. I go back to, and I tell people that I'm fortunate enough to speak at a lot of clinics, and I speak different things, but the high school coach, the prep school coaches, the people who devote their time. I'm going to go speak at a 5th grade with my mask on and all that, because that's the essence of how we make our world better. We're using basketball as a way to show that we care that these young people grow. Right.
Yeah. That's very cool. And you, I know, are such an inspiration to those children, from the young age all the way to the professionals. So keep doing the good work. Tell us a little bit, Coach, about, in your opinion and for you, what is the relationship between physical activity and mental health?
Wow, it's essential. It is essential, and it's essential. I'll give you a couple of examples. Let's just take me, for example. I very much, and I the doctor checked me, for example, and he took my blood pressure and all those things, and I'm just kind of like sitting, not doing anything. And then I took a treadmill test, and he was amazed because my blood pressure went from high to right where it should be because I exercised. And it's not lost on me that in a lot of situations, a healthy way to handle it is to take care of exercising physically. I get up every morning, and I've had to change through the years. I used to be a jogger, what have you, but I get up, I go on an elliptical, I take a walk with my wife. The fact that you can have a way to deal with life, you think over things, the physical, it's a healthy way, and so many other ways we deal with nervousness and all the different things are not healthy at that point. But even right now, our little bubble includes our grandkids, and our grandkids. My daughter teaches on Monday morning, so my wife and Mary does music with them, and then I do physical education with them.
Very cool.
And we take them, on a long walk to start the day. Then we go up and different, sports and different physical activities and all those type of things. It is amazing to me to watch. Now these kids are 3, 5, and 7. Okay. But watching how all of a sudden, they manage the conflicts with each other better. They compete in a healthy way and learn how to do it. There are just lessons I'm getting just from watching that.
Right. Yeah, I can only imagine. And I think we've all learned through, especially the pandemic and being home, how important that physical activity is. It's definitely made us all a little bit more aware of the connection between physical activity and mental health, especially during this time.
Well, I would equate it as a coach. I've lost my share of games, And, and you lose the game and you're just feeling terrible. You're just not feeling good. But what you do is you get up, you kind of get your normal workout in, you go with your team and you're doing that. I think there's something to be said with understanding life's a lot about putting one foot in front of another and keeping going.
Yeah.
And it allows the mind, everything comes a little clearer. Things are not as difficult as maybe in the middle of the night when you can't sleep. All of a sudden now you start to make good decisions, and life is totally about a series of good decisions.
Right. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Well, to close us out, speaking of the past couple of months and the pandemic, tell us, have there been any silver linings for you over the past couple of months?
Yeah, I think we've all had to take a self-assessment of our lives. I think we've had to take a hard look at what matters to us. Mm-hmm. What's our priorities? When our priorities change, can we still be productive? Mm-hmm. And I think there's some lessons that I'm going to look back and I'm going to say, I think this taught me some things about what's important to me. Because as a coach, I spend a lot of time on priorities. In this situation, this is most important in this and in this. And I think as I look back on this period, I'm going to understand, okay, here's what's important. But then beyond that, I think it's caused a lot of us to get outside our comfort zone. And how can we be productive in a different way?
Right.
And there's never anything wrong with that. One of the things that I've learned from watching great people, the Spurs organization was a great one, is that they're always looking for a better way. Mm-hmm. Well, this life we've been in the last months has forced us to find a better way. And what we've done is taken some broken pieces and in our own sort of way tried to make a masterpiece out of these broken pieces. Mm-hmm. And those of us that, that maybe wanted to be somewhere we couldn't be, but we still found a way to be helpful, to support. And I think that's life. And I think not just in sports, but in a lot of ways, I haven't seen my son. My son's at the Air Force Academy. I haven't seen him since June. And we've had to find ways to keep that relationship going because I miss him dramatically. It's the longest period we've ever had not seeing him. But a lot of people have gone through that. But I think learning to have the ability to stay on the positive side and talk to people on a positive side and the ability to listen and care. Mm-hmm. All those things are some lessons that I think and the world, the way the world's come at us, I think it's a period of life that I'll reflect back and hopefully see some growth in what I cared about.
Yeah. That is my hope as well. And you say it so eloquently. And I think that for all of those watching, it's a great reminder that just to put one foot in front of the other, like you said, and keep pushing forward and keeping that positive attitude and looking for ways to put the pieces back together that we have. So, well, Coach, we really appreciate your time tonight. Congratulations again on the championship. We certainly miss you in San Antonio and have loved watching you continue on through your career, and just appreciate you taking the time to chat with us.
Well, no problem. I got an old hat here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it says Final Four San Antonio. Now this is 2010. Was that the last time that we had a women's Final Four?
It is, and we have one again this year.
You do. Jenny's going to be real happy we get this shout out, and Russ as well. But I want to be in San Antonio for this, so I'm praying
Yeah.
I'm praying the world kind of heals up and we can all be in San Antonio in 2021 for the women's Final Four.
Absolutely. Together and at Final Four. It'll be a great time.
Yep.
Coach, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Appreciate it.